Welcome back to This is Thailand, the channel where we bring you the real stories. The ones the brochures don't show you and the Facebook groups argue about at 2 in the morning. Tonight's story's a little different. There's no bar girl on Walking Street here. No go-go, no scam, no villain twirling her mustache. Tonight we're talking about a man named Jürgen, 61 years old, from Bottrop in the Ruhr Valley in Germany, coal country. 30 years underground, if you can imagine that. A widower, a quiet man, the kind who says maybe 40 words a day and means every one of them. Jürgen came to Thailand to do something that sounds so simple, so reasonable, that thousands of men try it every single year. He wanted to stretch a small pension into a warm, dignified retirement. That's it. That's the whole dream. And right now, as I record this, thousands of men just like him are quietly packing up and going home. He wasn't robbed. Remember that, because it matters. Nobody cleaned out his bank account in the night. What happened to Jürgen is quieter than that, and honestly, it might be sadder. This one's going to stick with you, especially if you've ever done sums on the back of an envelope and told yourself it'll be fine. So we'll let him tell it. Here's Jürgen's story in his own words. My name is Jürgen. I don't know how you say it right in English. Jürgen, close enough. Doesn't matter. I was a Bergman, a coal miner. 30 years I went down the pit near Gelsenkirchen in the Ruhrgebiet. You probably don't know it. Gray place, rains a lot. Good people mostly, the kind who don't make a fuss. You want to understand me, you have to understand the work first. Everything else comes from that. You go down in the cage in the dark, and it's hot down there, hotter than people think, and loud, and the dust gets in everywhere. In your clothes, in your nose, in your lungs, and it never comes out. I'm 61 and I still can't do stairs without stopping halfway, whistling like an old kettle. That's the mine. It takes the air out of you slowly, over the years, and you don't even notice until it's done. But it was work. Honest work. You showed up, your mates showed up, and if a man said he'd do a thing, he did it. That's the whole world I come from. A handshake meant something. When the last pit closed, and they closed them all, one by one, the whole industry gone, they gave us a handshake and a pension, a reduced one, mind. Smaller than they promised when I was young, but a pension. I'm not telling you all this for sympathy. I'm telling you so you understand. I am not a stupid man. People hear these stories and they think, some old fool. I built things with my hands. I did dangerous work for 30 years and I came home every night. I know how to be careful, and I still ended up where I ended up. So maybe that tells you something. The real thing, the thing that broke me, that was Renate. We were married 34 years. I don't have the words for it, honestly. She was just there, every day, the whole shape of my life. She talked enough for both of us, which suited me fine because I never had much to say. She'd go on about the neighbors, about her sister, about some program on the telly, and I'd sit and drink my coffee, and that was happiness, I suppose. I didn't know it was happiness. You never do at the time. It just feels like Tuesday. And then one Tuesday it wasn't. She was at the kitchen sink, washing up, saying something about her sister, I think. I can't even remember what, and that bothers me, that I can't remember the last thing she said. And then she just went down, like a coat slipping off a hook. Aneurysm, the doctor said. In the brain. Nothing anyone could have done. Gone before she hit the floor, more or less. No warning, no goodbye, no time to say anything back to her. 34 years and then nothing, in the space of a breath. I'm not going to sit here and cry for you on the internet. That's not my way. But I'll tell you what the year after was like, because that's the part that sent me halfway around the world. It was the quiet. That's what I couldn't stand. The flat in Bottrop, our flat, and it was so quiet I could hear the fridge. I'd never noticed the fridge in my life. Now it was the loudest thing in the world. Her things were everywhere. Her coat on the hook by the door. Her reading glasses on the little table where she left them. Her side of the wardrobe. I couldn't move any of it. I'd stand there some mornings meaning to, telling myself, today, Jürgen, today you sort the coat. And I'd just leave it. Whole year I left it. It felt like if I moved her glasses, she'd really be gone. Stupid. I know it's stupid. But there it is. I ate my dinner in front of the television, so there'd be a voice in the room. Every night. Frozen things, mostly. I lost weight. My chest got worse in the damp. Ruhr winters get into your bones, into your lungs. Everything gray and wet from October to March. The doctor told me the cold wasn't doing me any favors. Warmth would help, he said, as if I could just order some. And the pension didn't go far. Everything in Germany costs more every year. The heating, the flat, all of it. I was managing. But managing isn't living, is it? I was 60 and I was managing, and every day looked exactly like the one before, gray and quiet and cold. Then one night, I remember I was having bread and cheese standing up at the counter because I couldn't be bothered to sit. My phone goes. It's Klaus. Old mate from the pit. Gelsenkirchen lad, retired a couple of years before me. He'd gone off to Thailand, a place called Hua Hin. Everyone thought he was mad, and he sent me photos. Sun, proper sun, the kind that makes the sea go silver. Him with a big daft grin, a bottle of Chang beer sweating on a table. Blue sky behind him you could fall into, and in one of them there's a woman next to him, younger, laughing at something, her hand on his arm. I stood there in my cold kitchen with my bread and cheese, and I looked at that photo for a long time. Not Pattaya, I remember thinking. I'd heard about Pattaya even in Bottrup. The bars, the nonsense, old fools throwing their money away. This was Hua Hin. Klaus said the king had a palace there. Respectable. Anständig, we say. A quiet, decent place. A serious man, I thought. A careful man, with a bit of pension and a bit put by. He could have a warm, dignified end to things somewhere like that. Nothing foolish. Just some sun on his back before the finish. That was the thought. Sitting there with my bread going stale in my hand. I should have finished my dinner and gone to bed. Instead, I texted Klaus back. One word. Tell me more. Klaus met me at the airport in Bangkok. Suvarnabhumi, it's called. I still can't say it right. Big place, all glass and cold air conditioning. And then you walk out through the doors and Thailand hits you like opening an oven. That's the first thing. The heat. Nobody tells you properly about the heat. It's wet heat. It sits on you. Your shirt is stuck to your back before you've even found the taxi. And me with my lungs, I thought, well, this'll either kill me or fix me. We drove down to Hua Hin, 3 hours, maybe more, in a van with a driver who overtook lorries on blind corners while Klaus talked the whole way. Out the window, it was all so busy. Motorbikes everywhere. Whole families on one bike sometimes. A man and his wife and 2 little ones and nobody wearing a helmet. Spirit houses outside the petrol stations. Little gold temples on posts with flowers and orange fauna left in front of them. Power lines in great tangled knots overhead, like somebody threw spaghetti at the poles. I just looked and looked. After a year of gray Bottrop, it was like somebody had turned the color back on. I want to be clear about why Hua Hin. This matters to me, because people hear an old German man, alone, went to Thailand, and they think one thing. They think dirty old fool, Pattaya, bar girls. And I understand why, but that's not what I went for. Klaus told me straight. Hua Hin is quiet, Jürgen, respectable. The king has a palace there. The royal family goes. Families go on holiday there. It's anständig. That word, we use it. It means decent, proper, the right way to do things. That's what I wanted. Somewhere a serious man could sit in the sun and not make a fool of himself. The visa, I'll be honest with you, I barely understood. Klaus put me on to an agent, a Thai fellow with an office near the immigration, and this man sorted everything for a fee. The retirement visa, you have to be over 50, which God knows I am, and you have to show money. 800,000 baht in a Thai bank, or income coming in every month. Around 22,000 euros, the lump sum. Now, and I'll come back to this because it's the whole thing really. I didn't have 800,000 baht just sitting there. But the agent, he had ways. Papers that showed what needed showing. I signed where he pointed and I didn't ask enough questions. I was a miner, not a lawyer. You trust the man who knows the system. That's how it works at home. That's how I thought it worked here. Should have asked more. Didn't. Klaus set me up in a little room off Soy 94, back from the beach where it's cheaper. Fan room, not aircon, but I didn't mind. 6,000 baht a month, about 150 euros. In Bottrop, that wouldn't get you a garden shed. I had a bed, a little fridge, a plastic chair outside the door. And in the mornings, I'd sit in that chair with a coffee and just breathe. And here's the strange thing. My chest did get better. The warmth, the dry mornings before the heat came up. That whistle in my lungs went quiet for the first time in years. First few weeks, I kept noticing it. The not noticing. You understand? For a year, I'd heard nothing but that fridge in Bottrop and my own breathing. Now I woke up to roosters and temple bells and some woman down the Soi frying something that smelled like heaven, and I felt, I don't know the word, lighter. Klaus showed me the ropes, where to change money, where the good market was, how the little Song Thammer trucks ran up and down the main road for 20 baht if you knew where to stand. We'd get a couple of big bottles of Chang of an evening, sit at a plastic table by the beach road, watch the sun go down orange over the water. Two old pit men from Gelsenkirchen on the other side of the planet. If you'd told either of us that 30 years ago down in the dark, we'd have laughed you out of the cage. And for a while, genuinely, I was happy. Or near enough that I'd forgotten what the other thing felt like. I even started sleeping through the night. But a man can only drink beer with Klaus so many evenings. And Klaus had his own life, his own lady, his own routine. So mostly I was on my own in the daytime. And that was fine. That suited me. I've always been all right on my own. Well, I thought I was. Turns out being all right on your own in a place where nobody knows your name is a different thing to being all right on your own at home. There's a loneliness that follows you even into the sunshine. Nobody warns you about that either. Which brings me to the food stall. There was a little place, just a cart really, at the mouth of my Soi. A woman and her old mother cooking under one of those big canvas umbrellas, a couple of steel tables, plastic stools. They did mu ping, pork on little skewers, grilled over coals, sweet and smoky, and sticky rice in a bag, and som tam that would take the roof of your mouth off if you weren't careful. I started going because it was close and it was cheap. 40 baht for a proper feed, €1. And the pork was good, better than good. The younger woman ran it. Knox, she said her name was, that's a nickname. They nearly all go by nicknames. It means bird, she told me later. She was 44, I found out. Not young. That mattered to me, if I'm honest. I'd have felt like a fool with some girl of 25 hanging off my arm, everyone knowing exactly what that was. Knock was a grown woman with gray coming in at her temples and strong arms from working, and lines by her eyes when she laughed. A widow, same as I was a widower, though it took a while before either of us said so. One grown son. She worked from before dawn, buying at the market till late at night, cleaning the cart down. She didn't fuss over me at first. That's the thing I keep coming back to. She wasn't sweet with me the way the bar people are sweet, all that hello, handsome man nonsense. She was just normal, busy. She'd take my 40 baht and give me my food and go back to her cooking. If anything, she teased me. My Thai was terrible, is terrible, and I'd try to say something and she'd laugh, this big proper laugh, and correct me. And I'd get it wrong again, and she'd laugh harder. Her mother would cackle away in the background, not understanding a word of anything. One evening, my fan packed up. The little one in my room stopped turning in the middle of the night, and in that heat, that's no joke. I mentioned it to her, mostly just complaining, the way you do. Next day, she turned up at my door after she'd closed the cart, screwdriver in hand, and had the thing in pieces on my floor and going again in 10 minutes. Wouldn't take a baht for it. Waved me off, went home. I stood in my doorway and watched her walk back down the Soi in the dark, past the spirit house, on the corner with its little candles. And I thought, past Shon, it's all right, things are all right. That was the beginning of it. Not that I knew to call it a beginning. It started with May's feet. That's the thing I remember. Her feet had gone bad. Swollen, sores that wouldn't heal. The way it goes with the sugar sickness when it's been left too long. She'd been living with it for years the way poor people everywhere live with things, which is to say by ignoring it and hoping. A bit of this from the pharmacy, some herbs, praying at the Watt. But it had got past that point. Knock didn't ask me. I want that on the record. She didn't come to me with her hand out. What happened was I saw the old lady one morning at the market barely able to stand, gripping the edge of the cart, gray in the face, and I saw the fear in Knock's eyes, and I said, "What's wrong with May? We need to take her to the hospital." Me, I said it. Nobody manipulated me into anything. So we took her, not the government one this time. For something like this, you go private if you can. The government hospitals are free-ish, but it's all day waiting on a plastic chair, and May couldn't do that. Bangkok Hospital Hua Hin, the private one, clean and cold and full of farang, getting their checkups. And of course, the moment you walk a foreigner through those doors, the price on everything seems to find another zero. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how it is. They see me, they see money. The bill, by the time they'd done the tests and the treatment and got her sorted with insulin and proper dressings for her feet, came to about 40,000 baht, 1,000 euros near enough. And I paid it. Of course I paid it. What was I going to do? Stand there and say no? Watch the old woman who held my hand in both of hers and saved me the good pork. Watch her go without because I wanted to protect my savings? You're not human if you do that. Any decent man pays. I'd do it again tomorrow, that particular one. That one I don't regret. But here's what I understand now that I didn't then. That 40,000 baht, to me it was a sad necessary thing. A one-off, a bit of bad luck you deal with and move on. To the family quietly, without anybody meaning anything bad by it, it changed what I was. Before I was Knock's foreigner friend who came for the pork. After, I was the one who paid when there was trouble. And there's always trouble. That's what nobody tells you. In a poor family, there is always something. I didn't see the shift. I was too pleased with myself, if I'm honest. There's a feeling. You rescue somebody, you fix the thing nobody else could fix, and you feel 10 feet tall. 30 years I'd been useful with my hands, and then 2 years of being useless in a flat in Bottrop. And now suddenly I mattered again. I could make a bad thing better with a swipe of my bank card. That's a drug, that feeling. I didn't know it was a drug. My savings went from 14,000 to about 13,000 with that hospital bill. Still fine, I told myself. I've got years in me at this rate. Then a month or so later, the fridge at the stall packed in. The big one they kept the meat in. In that heat, a stall with no working fridge is a stall with no business. The meat turns, you lose everything, you can't trade. This was their whole living, hers and May's. And Knock was going spare about it, on the phone to repair men, and it couldn't be fixed, the compressor was gone. A new one, a proper commercial one, was about 18,000 baht, near enough 460 euros. And this time, I noticed it, I'll be honest. This time she did sort of look at me. Didn't ask, just looked, this tired, worried look, and let the silence sit. And I filled it. Of course I did. I said, "Don't worry, I'll sort the fridge." And the relief on her face, and the way May weighed me, hands together, that little bow. You'd have done the same. Anybody would. I keep saying that. Anybody would. It's true, and it's also the exact thing that empties your bank account, one reasonable payment at a time. By now, I was into a rhythm of it. Not a monthly allowance as such. I never sat down and agreed a number the way some blokes do. 20 or 30,000 a month, sign here. It was more that I'd just become the household's cushion. Something needed doing. I did it. Beer's school certificate had a fee outstanding. May's insulin every month. Another few hundred baht here and there. A bit towards the rent on their place when trade was slow in the low season. Little and often. I stopped adding it up. And that right there was the mistake. When you stop adding it up, you've already lost. Klaus said something to me around then. We were sat at the beach road with a couple of big chang, sun going down, and he'd heard I'd paid for the fridge. Word gets round the fairing here fast. And he said, "Careful, Jurgen." He said, "It starts with the fridge, and then it's the buffalo. Buffalo bills, the old expats call it. The endless village needs. The sick buffalo, The broken truck, the cousin's operation, the roof in the rains. He said, "Mate, I've watched better men than you go home in their socks." And I got a bit sharp with him, actually, which isn't like me. I said, "It's not like that with us, Klaus. May is a real old lady with real bad feet. The fridge was real. You've been out here too long. You think everyone's at it." Knock has never asked me for a single baht for herself. Not once. And that last part was true. It was true. That's what I kept coming back to, like it settled the whole argument. She never spent it on herself. No gold, no fancy phone, nothing. Every baht went to the mother, the son, the stall, the family, which I thought proved she was good. Took me a long time to understand that a woman putting her whole family before you isn't the same as a woman not costing you anything. It might be the most expensive kind there is. And the most honest, too. Both things. That's the part one can't tidy up even now. Klaus just looked at his beer and let it go. Good mate. He knew there was no telling me. I lay awake that night, hot night fan going, the one she'd fixed. And I did the sums for the first time in weeks. Down to about 11,000 in savings. Still all right. Still telling myself, still all right. The word for it, I found out later, is a good word. Utang na loob, the Filipinos say, but the Thai have their own version of it. The debt you owe to people who've cared for you. The trouble is, once you're the farang, that debt only ever runs one way. The thing with beer happened in the wet season, when the roads are slick and the whole town smells of rain on hot concrete. He was a good lad, really. 22, worked here and there, delivery jobs mostly, on one of those little motorbikes that swarm everywhere out there. No helmet, of course. None of them wear them. I used to nag him about it in my bad Thai, and he'd grin at me and pat me on the shoulder like I was a worrying old granddad, which I suppose to him I was. Then one night Knock's phone goes at about 11, and I'm sat with her outside her place, and I watch her face just fall. Drop right off her. He'd come off the bike on the coast road up towards Cheyenne. A pickup pulled out, he swerved, went down hard. Broke his leg in 2 places, cracked his collarbone, and there was some bleeding they were worried about inside. We went straight to the hospital on the back of a neighbor's truck. Knock, white as a sheet, gripping my arm the whole way. May left behind at home wailing, and I sat in that corridor. The government hospital this time, and then when it got serious they wanted to move him private for the surgery. I sat on a plastic chair under those flickering strip lights with the smell of disinfectant and somebody else's family crying 2 seats down, and I realized something that surprised me. I was terrified, not about the money, about the boy, about beer. Somewhere in those months this lad had become, I don't have a word for it, I never had a son. Renat and me, it never came, and here I am at 61 on a plastic chair in Thailand, praying to a God I don't really talk to, that some Thai kid who calls me Lung is going to be all right. That's when I knew it wasn't a holiday romance or whatever people want to call it. I was in. I loved them. The whole daft lot of them. That's the truth, and I won't pretty it up. The surgery, the plates in his leg, the couple of nights in the private ward. It came to about 60,000 baht, around 1,550 euros, and I paid it without a second's thought, and I'd have paid 10 times that in the moment. That's the honest state I was in. But here's the sums, because this channel is about the sums, isn't it? That 60,000 took me down from about 11,000 in savings to under 8,000. Call it 7,500 euros left. And I remember sitting there after, once beer was stable and sleeping, doing the arithmetic in my head the way I used to check the timbers before a shift. And the numbers had stopped being comfortable. The pension covered the living, but the savings, the cushion, the bit that was supposed to see me through to the end, that was going. Not stolen, spent, by me, on people I loved, for reasons that were real every single time. That's the trap nobody can quite explain to you until you're in it. If it had been a scam, I'd have spotted it. I'm not a total fool. A scam has a shape to it. You can point at it. This had no shape. Just a sick old lady, a broken fridge, a boy off his bike. Real life, happening to poor people, with me standing there as the only one in the picture holding a bank card. And then Klaus, of all people, was the one who put the fear in me. Not about the family, about the paperwork. We were sat at the beach road again. Feels like every important thing out there happened over a big bottle of Chang watching the sun go down. And he's telling me his own visa renewal was a nightmare that year. And he says, offhand, so how are you fixed for the 800,000? When's your extension due? And I said, well, the agent handles all that, same as last year. And Klaus went quiet, which for Klaus is unusual. He said, Jürgen, the agent showed money in an account for your first one, yes? Seasoned it, they call it, parked it in there long enough to photograph, then it goes back out. And I said, yeah, something like that. I didn't ask. And he said, mate, they're clamping down on that now. Immigration's wise to the agents. They want to see the 800,000 sat in your own Thai account for months, or 65,000 baht a month coming in, provable. Have you got either of those? And I sat there with my beer going warm in my hand, and I did the sum one more time. 65,000 baht a month. That's about 1,650 euros. My German pension is around 1,400. It doesn't reach. It's close. God, it's close. A couple of €100 a month short, but it doesn't reach. And 800,000 baht in the bank? That's 22,000 euros. I had under 8,000 left. I'd spent the bank balance that was supposed to prove I could stay. I'd spent my right to be there on May's feet in a fridge and Beer's leg. I didn't say much to Klaus, just, I see, I'll sort it. The Ruhr way, you know. Don't make a fuss at the table. But I didn't sleep that night, or a lot of nights after. Because here's the thing I started to understand. Lying there with the fan going and the geckos clicking on the ceiling and a dog barking somewhere down the Soi. It wasn't knock. It was never going to be knock that finished me. She'd not taken a baht for herself the whole time. Still hadn't. The thing that was going to end my life in Thailand was a form, a number in a box at the immigration office. A rule that didn't care that I loved these people, didn't care that every payment had been decent and human and right. The math just didn't work, and the math was the law. And I started noticing, once I had my eyes open, that I wasn't alone. Down the beach road in the little Farang bars, you'd hear it more and more. Blokes my age, older, muttering about the new requirements, about agents who couldn't fix it anymore, about the bank balance they couldn't hold because life kept costing. Fellows who'd been out there 15 years packing up, going back to England, to Germany, to wherever, in the winter of their lives because the sum stopped working. Thousands of us. That's not me being dramatic. Thousands. All of us who came when it was looser and cheaper, all of us quietly getting priced and papered out. I had one extension left on the old arrangement, maybe, and after that, the office in person and the numbers laid bare on the desk. I knew what the numbers said. I just wasn't ready, yet, to hear a stranger say it out loud. The Jom Tien Immigration Office? Well, Hua Hin has its own, but the year it all came due, I'd been told to go down the coast, some business with how the agent had filed things, and I ended up at the big office where half the retirees on that stretch of coast pass through. You know the place if you've been. Ticket machine, rows of plastic chairs bolted together, a telly bolted up in the corner, everyone clutching a folder of photocopies and looking like they're waiting for a verdict, which they are. Old Farang in shorts and sandals, brown as leather, Thai wives beside them with all the paperwork because the wives always understand the system better than we ever will. Ceiling fans going, that particular smell of a government building in the heat, floor cleaner and warm bodies and paper. I'd brought Knock with me. She sat next to me holding the folder. I'd brought everything I had, my passport, my German pension letters, my bank book. And one knew, sitting there watching the numbers tick up on the little screen, I knew before I ever got to the desk. You don't work 30 years underground without learning when a roof's about to come down. You feel it before you see it. They called my number. Woman behind the glass, polite, not unkind, tired the way you'd be tired doing that job. She went through the papers, and she asked, through Knock half translating, for the bank seasoning. The 800,000 baht. Where was it? How long had it been held? And I didn't have it. Under 8,000 euros left by then, which is about 290,000 baht. Not even close. I'd known that walking in, but there's a difference between knowing a thing at 3 in the morning and having a woman behind glass point at the empty box on the form. She asked about income then, the 65,000 baht a month, and I showed her my pension letter, won 400 euros near enough, and she did the conversion on a calculator and turned it round to show me, kind about it even, and the number was something like 51,000 baht. Short. 14,000 baht a month short of the line. About 360 euros. That's what it came down to in the end. Not a fortune stolen by a wicked woman. 360 euros a month I didn't have, because the pension was the pension, and the mine had set that number in stone 20 years ago. The agent's old trick, parking borrowed money in an account for the photograph. She as good as told me that door was shut now. They'd tightened it all up. Too many men had done exactly what I'd done. I sat back in the plastic chair, and I think I laughed, actually. Just a little. Not a happy laugh. The kind you do when the thing is so complete there's nothing else to do with your face. 30 years in the dark, a lifetime of honest work, and it comes down to being 360 euros a month shy of a warm place to be old in. We went outside. The heat hit us, and there was a woman selling som tam from a cart, and a monk walking past with his bowl, and the traffic roaring and life just carrying on, indifferent the way it does. And I had to tell Knock. That was the hard part, not the office. Her. I told her that night, back in Hua Hin, sat on the plastic stools outside the stall, with the coals gone cold and the last chong of the evening going warm in my hand. I told her straight, the Ruhr way, no dressing it up. I can't stay. I haven't got the money the government wants. I've spent it. I didn't say on you, I'd never say that. But we both knew the shape of it. I have to go back to Germany. I want to tell you exactly what she did, because this is the part everyone gets wrong about these stories. She cried. Not the performance crying, not the waterworks you hear about from the bar blokes. She put her face in her hands and her shoulders went, and she cried like something had broken, quiet, trying to hold it in, which is worse to watch than the loud kind. And she said, her English got better when she was upset. Funny that, she said, I not want your money, Jürgen. I never want your money. I want you stay. And here's the thing. Here's the thing I've turned over 1,000 times since. I believe her. I believed her then, and I believe her now. And also, she'd leaned on me for a year. Also, her family had eaten through my savings, kindly without malice, but eaten through them all the same. Both of those things are true at once. She loved me, and I was the farang, and both were real, and you cannot separate them. No matter how long you sit with a warm beer trying, that's not a scam. There's no villain in it. If you came here for a villain, I'm sorry, I haven't got one for you. I've just got a good woman crying on a plastic stool and a stupid, kind old man who spent his own lifeboat bailing out other people's water. May came out, old lady on her bad feet. She'd understood enough. She took my hand in both of hers the way she always did, and she was crying too, and she kept saying something I didn't need translated. Sorry, she was saying sorry, as if it were her fault her body got sick, as if any of them had done a single thing wrong by needing what people need. I looked at those two women crying in the dark outside a pork stall on a side soy in Hua Hin, and I understood the whole thing at last. Nobody robbed me. I'd walked in with my eyes half shut because I wanted a family so badly after Renat that I didn't stop to check whether I could afford the price of admission. And the price wasn't the payments. The price was that a working man's pension was never, ever going to be enough to be somebody's whole world. I booked the flight the next week, one way, Bangkok to Frankfurt. I didn't tell many people, kept my face on. Past Schoen. Klaus drove me to the airport. Didn't say I told you so. Good mate. Just gripped my shoulder at the doors and said, come back if you sort it, and we both knew I wouldn't be sorting it. It's a gray afternoon in Boltrop as I tell you this. Course it is. Rain on the window, the heating ticking away, the same flat. Renat's coat still on the hook by the door, if you want to know. I moved it once, when I got back. Put it back the next day. Some things a man just isn't strong enough for, and I've stopped pretending otherwise. I've got about 4,000 euros to my name now. That's the sum of it. 61 years old, 30 years underground, and 4,000 euros in a rented flat and a chest that whistles worse than ever in this damp. The warmth I found out there, It's gone out of me again. First thing that went, funny enough. Within a month of being back, my lungs were bad again, and I thought, well, there's your answer, Jurgen. That at least was real. The sun was real. Let me do the sums for you plainly, because that's what this channel's for, and I'd rather you learned it off me than off your own bank book. Over the best part of a year, I put out around 10,000 euros beyond my ordinary living. The mother's hospital, 1,000. The fridge, 460. The boy's leg, 1,550. And then all the little and often. The insulin, the school fees, a bit on the rent, the 100 things I stopped counting. It adds up to about 10,000 near enough on top of the pension that was keeping us all afloat month to month. I came home with what I'd have needed just to prove I was allowed to stay. Spent my ticket to remain on the people who made remaining worth it. There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not clever enough to land it. Now here's what I won't do. I won't sit here and call her a thief. I've heard the other blokes do it. Back home, in the German expat forums, all bitter, all the woman was a snake. They're all snakes. And I understand the bitterness, I do. But it's a lie, or it's their lie anyway. It isn't mine. Knock and I still write. Line, on the phone. She sends me photos. Beer's walking fine now, back on a bike, God help me, still no helmet. May's feet are holding up. Knock tells me the stall's doing all right in the high season. She's never once, not one single time since I left, asked me for a bot. That tells you something, doesn't it? If it had all been the long game, the money game, she'd have kept the line open with her hand out. She didn't. She just misses me. And I miss her, and there's an ocean and about 360 euros a month between us that neither of us can do anything about. I loved her. I still do, if I'm honest, whatever good it does me. And she loved me. And her family ate through my savings without a scrap of malice in it. Just need, the ordinary bottomless need of poor people who suddenly had someone who could help. All of that is one thing. It doesn't split apart into good and bad no matter how you pull at it. That's the part nobody tells you, and that's the part one most want you to hear. So what's the lesson? You came for a lesson, I'll give you what I've got. It's this. Paradise on a working man's pension was never a plan. It was a delay, a lovely one. Best year I'd had since Renate. And I don't fully regret it even now. But it was always going to end at a desk with a woman behind glass and a calculator, because the math didn't work, and the math is the only thing out there that doesn't have a heart. The visa numbers don't care that you're grieving. They don't care that you're a decent man who paid every bill put in front of him. 800,000 in the bank or 65,000 a month, and if you haven't got it, you go home, and it doesn't matter how many people out there love you. And the other half of it, the harder half. A good woman's family will love you exactly as far as your money reaches. That's not a curse on them. It's just what poverty does to love. It can't help but lean on the strong beam in the house, and out there, the farang is the strong beam. If you can carry it, wonderful, God bless you, go and be happy. But you have to know your own weight first. You have to do the sums cold at the start, before your heart gets a vote. I did them warm, months in, when it was already too late. That was my mistake. Not the women, not the family, not Thailand. Me and a calculator I picked up too late. I don't know what's ahead. I'm too old to go back and too heartsore to fully be here. I sit in Bottrop, and the fridge hums, and I know that sound again. But I had a year where I mattered to somebody, where an old lady held my hand and a boy called me uncle. Some men never get that, even once. So, pass Sean, it'll do, it has to. That's all I've got. Thanks for sitting with an old man's story, and that's Jurgen. Back in Bottrop, back in the gray, a few thousand euros to his name, and a coat on a hook he can't bring himself to move. I wanted to bring you this one precisely because there's no villain in it. It's easy to watch the bar girl horror stories and think, well, that won't be me. I'm too smart for that. Jurgen was smart. Jurgen was careful. He avoided every obvious trap. No go-go bars, no girl half his age. A hard-working widow his own age who genuinely loved him. And he still went home broke, because the danger was never only the obvious kind. Sometimes it's just arithmetic. A pension that falls a few hundred short of the line. A family whose real, genuine needs are bigger than one modest retirement can carry. Love that's true and expensive at the same time. If you're watching this and dreaming of your own warm place to grow old, hear the man out. Do the sums cold before you go. Know the real Visa numbers, 800,000 baht in the bank or 65,000 a month, and know whether you actually clear it, not whether an agent can make it look like you do. Understand what family means out there before you become the one holding the card. And ask yourself the honest question Jurgen didn't ask in time. Not can I afford the flight and the beer, but can I afford to be somebody's whole world, month after month, for years? Thousands are heading home right now for one of asking it. Don't be a number in that count for the sake of a sum you could have done at the kitchen table. Look after yourselves, do your homework, and we'll see you next time here on This is Thailand.